year, and then effective, say, either January 1st or November 1st, with the new council term, you could make
Let them review it.
you could either let them review it, you could set that now, and so that if you're running for council, you would know what the salary expectation is going to be. Or you can also make the adjustments now.
No, I like that.
Just need a little bit
first
of
suggestion.
a direction on that.
I like the first suggestion, yeah.
Mitch, I don't understand.
Sorry, that was quick.
Yes.
I have a few questions for Tara.
Sure.
I would like you to answer, and then if I can maintain the floor, I'd like to then follow up.
You got 5 minutes.
Start the timer. Tara, in your opinion, what is the purpose of this? Why do we want to do this? Like, why are we examining council remuneration? What's its importance?
Yeah, so its importance is that council salaries affect the types of candidates and the candidates that you would get. It makes sure that you're ensuring fair and adequate compensation to your elected officials.
So why do we remunerate exactly? If you can put it in another word, why do we remunerate councilors? Why is this not a volunteer position?
Why is this not? Because
Like, why do we remunerate?
there are significant, and depending on the municipality, there are significant responsibilities and scopes of issues that councils are dealing with. Yeah, so I would.
It takes away from your ability to
It takes
earn money
away.
in some ways in other places.
Yeah.
I mean, most of us have always had half-ass jobs, but I remember that I had a real estate company, and when I became the warden, I was almost every day making choices as to whether I could go show people houses and try to sell to them, or show up at the meetings that I had got myself elected to do. Eventually, I got rid of the real estate company because I couldn't do both.
So, Tara, and we won't hold your answer against you, but you've dealt with many elected officials, I'm sure, over your long and tenured career to date. And you've probably seen some councilors that are strong and some that are weaker. Now, what in your opinion is the value proposition that an elected official offers?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah, that's a loaded question.
And I want you to answer it.
You're making policy decisions, you're making decisions that affect the future of your municipalities. Those are sometimes decisions that are difficult. They require a certain level of commitment. They require you to put time in for research, and so it's important that elected officials are compensated adequately.
Okay. Would you agree that if you were a CAO seeking employment that, the primary thing that would probably govern your decision on what salary you might take would be the complexity of the municipality you were undertaking? For example, if you were offered a position as a CAO in Shelburne County versus Chester, you would expect probably a differential
The
in salary.
expectation would be a differential in salary, yes.
So the complexity is probably one of the most important things as a CAO.
Yeah.
And you could maybe in theory, see how that actually might make sense in terms of the decision making once the CAO processed that information and supplied it to their council. The complexity of the decisions and the municipality that's being run would be proportional to also the elected officials. Would you say that?
Yeah.
And the complexity is probably also proportional to the budget. Would you say that also is generally true?
It is generally true, it is.
Mm-hmm.
She's on for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, and you've got to take size into account. Size sometimes affects that as well. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
sure. Okay, that's good. It's interesting. I was at a conference yesterday. I've been the chair of the credit union in New Ross since 2015. And so the Atlantic Central Credit Union Board is holding their spring strategy conference. And there's a chairs committee, so all the chairs for all of Atlantic Canada go and they discuss their problems. And we had a prof from Dal providing some guidance. And one of it was just fluke, just yesterday, the discussion revolved around how do we attract and retain qualified directors to run our boards. Very, very timely conversation. And so the prof, who is a very skilled and apparently an expert in governance, cited a bunch of things like you have to focus your meetings on important things that are, so that you're not wasting time. People can get disillusioned when you're just spending time going to meetings and it doesn't feel like you're just doing anything of value and all that stuff. But you know what you cited as the number 1 and 2 reasons why you can't fill boards with competent people that stay? Remuneration and holding your meetings or training at the wrong time of the day and week. Number 1 and 2. So we have a municipality, in my opinion, that pays almost nothing to their elected officials and holds meetings in the middle of the week when everybody else would be at work. When we have committees where we expect the public to participate, when do we hold those? The evenings. Why? Is it because it's accessible? It's accessible. And so we claim that we want people to participate and we want the best candidates. What have we done? I don't know if I'm going to run it again. I'm kind of thinking no. But how am I want somebody from my district, somebody great to come out and participate and sit in this spot and participate in these meetings. And what is the value that I'm offering that person if I go out and knock on somebody's door? Hey, Trevor, or hey, whoever. We want you to come and we want you to be a counselor. What are we offering you? Okay, well, you have to give up your wage and you're going to come on a Thursday and do that for no money. How many people do you think we're going to attract? None. The municipality district of Lunenburg, I come sometimes to beat them up a little bit, but in one of the first actions of their council was actually to give themselves immediately a raise and pension, which that's another debate. I don't know if you want to consider being.
Councillor Vino another 5 minutes. He's over his time.
Yeah, I'll consent my time. Closing arguments.
I'm almost there. They offered to give themselves an increase in salary and pension immediately, and their gallery is now full of people that are interested in running in their next council election. So, I think that is excellent. I would love to see interesting people that want to do what we do. So I would question the wisdom of this council to continue this strategy of saying that our value proposition to the public is that we don't cost very much. That's not how we operate the rest of the municipality. We recognize that just keeping taxes down isn't good governance. We know that you have to provide value. You have to spend some money and then people have a better life here. We've gotten past that, but we have this old way of thinking here at this table that's the value we offer, is that we don't cost them much. So I'm off my soapbox for some period of time. Thank you for indulging me.
Okay, Sharon.
Well, I'll just say that, not everyone in our municipality makes a huge salary, and from what you're saying, it's not a full-time job, and I don't think you can say that it is. So I think in proportion, we are paid, okay, I work full-time, and my, salary gets adjusted for the time that I'm here, and I'm okay with that. It works, but I don't think it is a full-time position, so we can't even assume that it is. And there's a lot of people in our municipality, we have to look at everyone. We have some that are only existing on, let's say, old age pension and a supplement. And then we have those that are making 6-digit salaries. So we have to have a balance. It's not all about, how much do we pay. I think what we get is reasonable. I'm willing to look at it somewhat, but I don't think we should be going up to 40,000. To me, 30 might be a reasonable number. I just have a different take on it than you do. I know, and I think that it would attract people at that salary. And one thing that may be attractive to more people is to change the meetings until the evening. That might be way more attractive, then you wouldn't have to give up part of your work time to come here, which I've done for the last 20-some years. And it works, but it doesn't always work for everyone. Some have to, give up their employment, but I don't think this is a full-time job, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong with that.
Tina?
Thank you. Certainly a great exercise in gathering of information through staff and the consultant, I forget his name already. So in terms of making, evidence-based decision-making and following through with what we just talked about. But I think back on some of the professors at, again, University, Dalhousie University School of Local Government or something. I think his name's Grant, maybe I'm not sure, but there were some people there. And again, what resonated with me with some of the workshops that I took in my first year here on council was just what Councillor Vino was referencing in terms of limiting the pool of candidates and how to do that. And I don't have to repeat what Andre said at all, but that obviously it's coming from others that know a lot more than I know, if you will. But that being said, if we do whatever decision we make, I'm on the side that we make it now for the incoming council, because my community is going to want to know that. Potential candidates are going to want to know that, and that's important for transparency and engagement and encouraging those who feel that they can make a difference to run, to be honest, across the municipality. I'm not shying away from some of those higher percentages that were provided to us in this chart. I'm thankful that Andre asked the questions around directly to Tara, so thank you, Tara, for answering too, around the complexity and the comparisons of municipal units. I haven't landed anywhere just yet, but I'm not shying away or scared of landing on something that I can defend and that makes sense, and that anyone that's interested in putting their name forward in any area of this municipality will have it in front of them. That's just
Anyone else that comes, Derek?
I think we should make the decision. I don't think we should leave it. I think people should know going into the election.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what Andre said. I mean, I didn't run for the money. I would have done it as a volunteer. I wanted to do it, for a term. Actually, it costed me money, but it's my pleasure to do it.
Sure, it costs me money too.
I understand. You understand that, and that's what some people
Other
don't
things
understand.
else to do.
But I don't want to see the $40,000 number either. I think that's,
Some balance.
but I think there's got to be a balance there. I like some of the options, options 5 or 6, maybe even option 7 to blend them. That's a number, I think. But I think we make the decision. Don't have a new council coming in and then first thing they do is have to adjust their salary.
No.
That's not fair.
No.
I think we do it now.
Yeah. I think if people are running, they should have a, yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think everybody that does this job, I've been around this table as a solicitor for years and I followed it. But there's more than the council meetings. More to it than that. It's actually, you say it's not a full-time job, you're on duty full-time.
Yes, but
You go to the grocery store, you go to the
That's where you go.
coffee shop. You do more business at the coffee shop sometimes than you do here. And that's where you get people tell you what they're thinking. And they're not coming and sitting here and addressing council. Most people wouldn't do that. They're not brave enough to do that.
They come to your house.
Yeah, or they meet you on the street and they tear a strip off you right there. It goes with the job. But I think the number needs an adjustment, but not
Just
dramatic.
depends on that.
I can't resist in terms of your statement around those people would not necessarily come to present or speak on public input. Most people don't have that, aren't afforded the time to do that in the middle of the daytime meeting here in the village. The majority of those who we wish to hear from can't do that.
No, I
They can't.
I get that.
So that goes to Andre's second point around the time of the meetings.
Just to what you said, Alan, I know when I had a small business and when I was elected in 2016, I thought I could do both. And I found out within 6 months that I really couldn't. And I ended up selling my business, but that's just to your point. I just couldn't do both.
Well, some things you just, don't work out. So I think there's a consensus that we should adjust it. I think that what we have to do is arrive at where you're going. Yeah.
Is it time for redirect?
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir, lawyer Vino.
You know, as Derek said, it cost me money to be here, so it's not a money thing for me at all. But the question I ask is, who is it that we don't want to attract to this table? Forget about ourselves and our own self-interest. You know, I kind of reject the argument that there's people on whatever social assistance that make some low amount of money. That's not, you know, we would like that people with professional designations to consider this as something that we want to do. So we have to make it accessible to people. First, the time of day. First of all, I think that's non-negotiable next council or whenever we can, as soon as we can do it, we should be moving these council meetings into the evenings so that it's accessible both by the public, but mostly by people who might wish to run. And that should be made known prior.
That's a separate issue.
Well,
It's relevant because the reason for this discussion, before you get going here, calm down.
say a word.
The reason why it's relevant is because we're discussing remuneration, and the reason why we're discussing remuneration is it's because we want to attract people to this position. And the time of the meeting is 100% relevant to who you're going to attract. You know, I have a person in mind. I'll say the name, I don't care. No, I won't. But there's a terrific guy that lives in Otter Point that I would love to see him take an interest, but he would actually have to take time off his work every week to come here. You know, I don't think that's realistic. So it's relevant, and that's why I think it's something we have to address before this council is done. If we had to fill a position or any salary position in this organization, you know, and they said, we had a report from whoever and said, well, the salary for that kind of position, let's an engineer, it's between 82 and 105,000 or whatever it was. You know, we don't then go back out and say, okay, we'll offer you 82. No, because we want to be competitive. So when we see these numbers, and it's like average number, okay, let's say option 5, $33,000. Budget's within 25% complexity, and the CAO herself has said, you know, it's proportional to complexity, the budget makes sense, those are the kind of decisions you'd be evaluating. Do we then say, okay, well then we should take 30 because we want to be on the low end of that scale? We don't do that for any other position. I can't understand why we continue to think that the value proposition we offer as a council is that we don't cost much money. It isn't. We want qualified people here.
Can I speak now? Your Honor?
Yes.
I'd like to address the fact about the night meetings. This is, in West Hants, they have night meetings. My niece, who's been approached to run for council in October, has called me every day and said, I don't know if I want to do this. I went to some of the meetings and they go to 12 o'clock. They go to 12 o'clock.
Do they have a nap room?
And that's not just, that's the norm. Because, and that's my fear, is that you're going to get people saying after a while, we're in at 12 o'clock, geez, you know, and that's because, and they have other jobs. These people have other jobs. My niece has a wedding store there. I mean, this is a big decision for her. And I said to him, you know, you have to.
Is that your niece?
That's my niece, yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah, it's a great story. I mean, she's thinking, well, I might be able to do this because it's night, but I can't, like 12 o'clock is, you know.
Most of them rent around 8:30 or 9.
Well, anyway,
That's pretty typical.
every time she's been talking to me, it's been, And she's really, and that's what she's weighing. I said, okay, don't take any pressure from it, you make your own decision. But that's the thing about night meetings. You gotta be careful what you wish for here.
Okay, let's deal with the salary, and then we'll try to, the next council, whoever's here, they can decide if we're meeting today.
Yeah, that's true.
That has to be done before the next election, otherwise it'll affect who we get as candidates.
I agree.
I think the money's important, so is the time of meeting, but as far as the money goes, we're gonna move all meetings to evenings, I don't see where the money is that important.
Yeah.
They're all holding full-time jobs.
Absolutely.
The people who are working, so I don't see where the money's a big thing. And a lot of the evenings, you were talking to people, stuff like that. But as far as the time goes, I've been here a long time, and day meetings versus night meetings, you have an argument, but it's not, I don't think it's a great argument, because we've held night meetings, and I sit out there and I don't see that many people on a lot of our night meetings, unless it's a particular item that they want to talk about. So I'd suggest maybe, if we're going to talk about time, they have 2 committee holds and 2 councils a month, maybe do 1 of each in the evening and leave the other ones today, because it's also difficult for staff. Staff has to be all here, so we can bring staff in. So there's more to it than that. I think there's more to it than that. And again, with the money, I've never been here or sit here for the money. And if it was all night meetings and no day meetings, I'd suggest lowering this hour. And some people who are working have full-time jobs. They have full-time jobs. And I agree with you, Bill, you have night meetings for committees now, so you had all night meetings for council. If you had a full-time job besides that, it's going to make a lot of work for you. Sorry. I only had 10 minutes, so just tell me to keep the hand down. That's all I have to say. I will argue with you.
Dana?
Thank you. So Floyd, I do remember as well when we had a 6-month pilot.
We do.
I believe that the idea of consideration for evening meetings was brought forward by Councillor Vino and myself. When we were elected in 2012, we both brought forward the fact that we heard that when we were knocking on doors, if I remember correctly. So this council, or that council, I'm sorry, at the time, agreed to a 6-month pilot. And, pardon?
What was the
Oh, sorry, once a month, evening meetings. One Thursday a month, we had a meeting start at 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. versus 8:45. So one of the first meetings, we had a high turnout because it was around fire services. And I remember at the time because Carol Noss's son presented, did not know he was Carol's son, but he presented and it was around fire service. And it was an inside area actually, discussion. So we had a full house. But going forward, we certainly didn't have a full house. And at the time when we were then giving thought to whether we should continue the pilot or not, you made the same comment, and I respect that, around the fact that we have low turnout, there's no here, and my counter argument to that was, it's not the people that we were seeing during that 6 months, it's the people that might want to come, that are students who are in school until, except for July and August. They can't come during a daytime meeting, except March break. There are single parents, there are one vehicle homes in my community, many throughout the municipality, but certainly in my community, they can't make those meetings during the day. So again, it was not who we were seeing during that 6-month pilot, but it was who we were not affording the opportunity to take in a council meeting, to present their thoughts and comments and present to council. I thought I had another thought there, but now I forget. So that's all I wanted to say in terms of countering that. But maybe we look at a blended solution around what we had considered then, and that was 1 evening a month. Not that we don't want to look at other municipal units, but does the District of Lunenburg have 2 meetings daytime, 2 meetings evening, or I thought that some other municipal units.
Their meetings are all daytime.
Okay.
Bridgewater is all evening.
Evening. Okay, so no blended. Okay, I was going to go with that.
They might have some blended meetings, but.
Oh, so I did think my other thought around that 6-month pilot. One thing that Floyd did offer at the time when we were finishing up our 6-month pilot as an offer was that if there's a reason, if there's a group that brings forward or interest to have an evening meeting, that we would consider that. So my community, the New Ross Regional Development Society, wanted to present their strategic plan back in 2014. And we had an evening meeting held at Forest Heights. And it was a full house, but at the time we were dealing with the universal sewer rate stuff too, I think maybe. So it was a full house for a lot of reasons. But my community development group, David Meister in particular, who was presenting the strategic plan, was able to turn out, because he has a full-time job, now it's kind of combo home, because we work from home now, home and in Halifax, where he's highly regarded with the Nova Scotia Community College system. So again, it works. We've had success, and people then can take opportunity to present. So our communities, I wasn't necessarily thinking of the people here representing the communities, but for our communities to be able to turn out and present. Thank you.
So a blended approach is probably workable, but Andre?
Blended approach makes no sense. You know
To
why? Yeah, to me. And also, the professor from Dalhousie University that I just sat and listened to.
He's a dummy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. They don't know. But, you know, here's a question. How many acclamations have we had in the last bunch of elections? Lots.
I've never been acclaimed, so I don't know.
Either way.
Depends
You
on
have.
not recently.
I don't know, I ran everyone.
Oh, so I know you have, mister.
No.
I have.
What?
You have.
I haven't had an acclamation. Oh, I thought you said.
We've had lots of them. This municipality has lots of acclamations. Why do you think that is? Just the candidates are that terrific that just nobody.
Yeah.
Yep. Must be it.
Can't be it, you like to think that.
You know, how many times have I talked to people out in the public and they're like, you know, yeah, how's the council thing going on? It's all right, you know, and it's like, good for you. I would never want to do it. I hear that all the time. You know, why's that? Why is it that they never want to do it?
Because the abuse stuff.
No, it's got nothing to do with the money. It's the phone calls you get 7 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night or Sunday morning.
Everything in life is that. You know, everything,
Not necessarily.
every decision we make, it's like you have crap on this side and you have remuneration on the other, and there's a balance, and you decide if it's worth it. Well, most people have decided it ain't worth it. And here we are saying that no, the money isn't even a factor. Well, clearly it is for most people.
Wow.
We have the data.
I don't think we do. I think that why people don't want to run is because exactly what you said. They don't want to put up with the bullshit, excuse my language.
Would they put up with it if they had $1 million? Yes.
Oh, so now you're really getting, even what you're talking
But
about.
the point is, at some level of revenue, they would say, this is actually, I can tolerate this. But we aren't there yet.
Well, I don't know.
Just because we have to get on track to some degree. We're talking finance. Whether we meet in the evening or the daytime does not have anything to do with the budget.
No.
So can we just stick to the budget?
Plus, 12 years ago, when you guys did the pilot, we were Facebook Live. So that has some.
This is not a discussion about who can watch the meeting. This is a discussion of who's going to be in the meeting. That's the problem. Don't try to talk about who's in the gallery. That's not the issue here.
If someone wants to be in the meeting, they go on the agenda on it. You know that.
No, I'm talking about as counselors. That's what brought this. That's why I brought up evening meetings, because it's part of the package that you offer to people that want to do this job.
Well, then you should lower the salary. If you're using that rationale, that professional people will apply.
Well, I'm a professional person. I wouldn't.
You wouldn't, well, you just said that you're gonna have more of a pool of people if we have night meetings, because they don't have to give their a daytime job.
There has to be some value in it. Like, people, when they go on boards and like if they're professionals, they want to be acknowledged. You don't just do it for nothing.
So
That's why you're remunerated.
You wanna acknowledge them for $40,000 if they have a full-time
Well, you know
job.
what? Bridgewater does.
Oh, well.
You know what? Modal does.
Wow.
You know, like you saying it as if it's absurd. It's not absurd.
So 1 minute you're calling Logan one thing and now you're calling another. Okay. I got that figured out now.
Okay, can we stick to the salary, the budget, which is what we're here to discuss? Are we going to adjust the salaries for councilors or not?
Yes, we are.
Okay, does somebody have some idea of what we're doing?
35,000, put it at 35. I would accept that.
No.
Option 7,
Option 7.
blended.
Option 6.
I agree with Derek.
On what?
Option 7, he said. Didn't you, Derek?
Yeah.
Will somebody make a darn motion that we recommend something to council?
I
Just have to, okay. I just need to think for a minute or two. So so we're just picking that column because we like the salary figure, right? So I have to think back on those options again in terms of what we heard, right? So the whole piece around the complexity, the hour from Halifax, and that's option 4, like option 5 is complexity. Yeah, so I'm trying not to look at that salary, I'm trying to look at why I can defend this, how I'm gonna defend this based on just picking a number from the middle of the table.
It's an average.
Yeah.
And I think when Gerald Walsh initially gave us the recommendation, it was under 30, correct? It was more like the 20.
Yeah, but the salaries are much lower than this one.
That's why we
got it.
Well, we
That's
sought
why we
further
went out.
information because, and that was certainly in camera, I think, at the time, but we weren't convinced that that background was done.
Yeah, they had us compared against like Claire.
Yeah, I know,
Stuff
it's
like
just, they
that.
were, it's like
Ridiculous.
spitballing, right?
So would option 7 work for people?
Works for me.
No,
No?
for all of the aforementioned issues.
And you got, look, where do you,
I'll make a motion to approve option 7.
second,
Moved and seconded. Option 7.
Can you
Discussion on the motion. All those in favor? Opposed?
Give you a half of it.
I know,
It's approved. That's the recommendation to take to the budget.
Thank you.
Okay, our lunch is out there, people. I mean, what you want to do with all that?
Let's have it and come back in.
Might as well have 5 minutes. I gotta levitate back down to my seat.
Well,
You gotta
It would be this
Well-
evening meeting, be how much?
well, that's right, there's my point exactly.
it would be self.
But see, we're in a unique position. Most people at work don't have, unless they strike, don't have any say in what they're getting as a rule. They can't say, okay, let's get done, we want another $100 a day.
It's for next council.
I know,
Put that out there.
but,
And it's
Up to
transparent.
you.
well, no, I don't.
It's not
Yeah,
for
it's opinion.
immediate, it's for next council.
Well, see, anyway, we've already litigated it.
What do you
Now,
think?
satisfactory.
So what's your opinion on the municipal councils? This is what
That's right now.
Well, I just think
We're
that's.
getting-
Okay.
Session.
Yeah.